Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel in this video. Now recently, us Nintendo fans have been treated to a huge dollop of Nintendo goodness through the recent Direct, and chief among these was the new 4.0 update that got announced for Splatoon 2. And it's both Smash, but like, no one cares about that.
Isabel, come on! Let's go, Isabel!
Anyway, the first presence of the new line of updates was felt today in the form of the first half of the Kensa Collection, a wave of new alternate kits for pre-existing weapons, much like Sheldon's picks from Splatoon 1. Although we don't know if this is the substitute for Sheldon's picks, or just bridging the gap between now and then. I can see a lot of people getting into these new kits, and I thought that I'd give you my thoughts on them while they're still fresh. So, without further ado, let's get into it. And by the way, just quickly, I do tend to ramble on in these types of videos, so timestamps will be available in the description if you just want to jump to a certain point. So I think that I'd quite like to start with the new Splattershot kit because I think that this is the one that will divide most people. I think that people are going to have quite a negative opinion on this weapon given by how much hate Tenta missiles have been getting recently, and how they're perceived by many as sort of the bottom of the barrel when it comes to having a competitively viable special weapon. Looking at the kit as a whole, it's really striking to me that this kit is rather well suited for tower control in particular. Suction bombs have been a natural pick in tower control due to their ability to stick onto and effectively clear a tower, and Tenta missiles launched at a tower while it's at a checkpoint is probably the most effective and useful application of the special on the whole. But I think that the best attribute by far about this weapon is how little turf you actually need to cover in order to charge your special. The Kensa Splattershot only needs 180p to fully gain its special, making it the quickest Splattershot charge to date. The vanilla Splattershot requires 200p, and the Tenta Tech needs 210p. To put this into perspective, the NZAP 89, a weapon widely considered to be the best at spamming missiles in the game currently, requires 190p to get its special fully charged. Does this mean that the Kensa Splattershot will be catapulted to the top of the meta weapon charts? Well, no, but I can see that this weapon has at least a bit more potential than I think most people will give it credit for. As a side note, and a quick tip, if you do decide to run this weapon in your next game, I would recommend equipping at least one main of special charge up so you can at least have some missiles ready and always at your disposal. For this reason as well, I would also recommend Special Saver to help protect your special gauge progress if you do get splattered. Okay, I think that that's about it from me on this one. Let's cover the Kensa roller next. Now, those of you who know me will know very well that I am no roller player, but nonetheless I do find the Kensa roller an extremely interesting subject. A slightly hidden and I think not too mentioned part of both of the other roller kits, those being the vanilla and the crack-on, is that they both have a part of their kits directly connected to mobility, the curling bomb as a sub in the case of the vanilla roller, and the baller as a special in case of the crack-on. Taking a look at the Kensa roller, this is a feature that is very much absent in its kit. And I think that this slightly hinders the general roller mentality of being a fast-moving, sharking player. Rollers tend to benefit greatly from large amounts of map control, and I think that this is aggravated in the Kensa roller as a result. The kit of Splat bombs and the Bubble Blower, a kit that is also featured in the full Squeezer by the way, is much more reminiscent of a longer range weapon, and I'm not sure that this meshes quite as well with the weapon as a result. I'm not sure if you can tell from the footage, but while I was playing this weapon, it felt noticeably more ungainly than the vanilla and the crack-on roller to a lesser extent, due to this lack of an easy sort of get-out-of-jail-free card sort of an item in its kit. The lack of mobility options presented with this weapon means that you really have to nail each fight or be punished for it, making this weapon a lot less good at the general assassination vibe that I think most people attribute to the roller class in general. However, I actually do think that this roller does perform better than the other two in head-on team fights, especially with the Bubble Blur special. The bubbles provide great cover, and if you can arc the flight path of your bombs correctly, you can cut off your opponent's escape routes to either force them into the fatal radius of the bombs or into your roller's attacks. In terms of the amount of ink coverage needed to get your special, the Kensa roller has exactly the same amount needed as the other two rollers at 180p. Do I think that this weapon outperforms the other two in any meaningful way? Well, my answer is not quite, but I do think that this weapon has quite a nice niche places, sort of a supportive, slower paced roller that isn't a trashy flingser or an unwieldy dynamo. Right, next up we have the two new chargers, the Kensa Charger and the Kensa Splatterscope. Okay, so I've grouped these two together because my thoughts about them are basically the same. It's always nice to have another kit available for any weapon, but I have two major gripes with these weapons I feel just breaks any positive feelings I would have towards them. Just in case you don't know, all the different Splatterscopes have the same kit as the charger they're based on, such as the vanilla Splatterscope having the Splat Bomb and the Stingray just like the vanilla charger. Coming back to the Kensa Charger, my first major gripe with this weapon is the inclusion of Sprinkler with this weapon. After its nerf, the Sprinkler is really just a bit useless at this point. And if there was any weapon type that really needs a bomb in close range situations, it's the Chargers. Okay, the Sprinkler isn't quite as bad as I'm making it out here. It does an okay job at help taking a splat zone or a small portion of a map, but I think a really big opportunity was missed here to give a charger some real short-range protection to help with its viability. My second gripe with this weapon is the fact that it has Baller as a special. Now, I'm not saying I think the Baller is a bad special, far from it, but I do think that this special synergizes horribly with the playstyle of the charger class. But no, bird, I hear you comic people tappity typing down in the comments. The new Squiffer has the Baller as its special, and those two fit together perfectly. Yes, well, just think about it. The Squiffer is designed to be the closest equivalent to a short-range sniper, or rather one that isn't the Bamboozler. That weapon also has bombs that allow it to cover its retreat and just add general versatility to the weapon as well. My point is that while playing with the Kensa Charger, I ran into the same problem over and over again. I'd activate my special, roll on into combat, pick a spot, get a kill or two, and then die immediately to a random enemy that just happened to stroll in at that rather inopportune moment. This weapon is literally defenseless in a face-on fight with no bombs and pitiful chip damage. It's this rapid change in pace between frontline and backline that happens on such a general basis that I think really breaks this weapon for me. This problem is aggravated in the Kensa Splatterscope for the fairly obvious reason that the Splatterscope is even more towards the slow, long-range combat side of the charger scale, which is then shattered by the rapid frontline movements the Baller demands. I mean, okay, maybe you could just sort of use the Baller as a kind of escape or defensive tool, but the chances where you're going to be able to do that effectively are extremely limited in a practical sense. Okay, I think it's time to reel in the salt here, and just talk about our last weapon, the Kensa Dualies. Okay, so last but not least are the Kensa Dualies, and I don't actually have much to talk about them. I think that this kit is a nice alternative to the Mega Meta dominance with the Emperor, but I'm not 100% sure that they're quite on its level. I will say, however, that the Kensa Dualies do have what I feel to be a noticeably better kit than the vanilla Dualies, and also they look like pretty sweet, like look at them. Regular Dualie rules apply with this weapon, and I feel Nintendo have done a great job creating a set that works well with the frontline nature of Dualies, while providing something new in the kit that is quite different and, dare I say it, useful compared to the other available kits. I think that this weapon's kit will come in hand, especially in Remaker and possibly Splat Zones as well. I mean, the suction bombs in this kit are some of the most versatile in the game, and putting a Baller into this kit is much better than, how do I put this? Putting it in with the aforementioned Charger, because they wash really well. Also, and just a side note, this weapon does require 190p as opposed to 200p to charge it special when compared to the Emperor. But such a small change, the difference is really just academic. So, should you choose these instead of the Emperors? Well, I think that it comes down more to personal preference than which is objectively better. My advice is that if you want a hyper-fast Slayer, then really you should stay with the Emperors. But if you want to try something more grounded and, dare I say it, versatile, then I really do think that you should give these weapons a try. Okay, so I think that that's all I really wanted to say on these new weapons. Well done if you got this far in the video, I do tend to rumble on a little bit. This video was actually quite a bit longer than I originally thought it would be, but I just found some really interesting points to talk about within this subject. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed this video and found it useful and interesting. If you think I've missed anything or disagree about me with anything I said in this video, do feel free to leave a comment. Do also feel free to leave a like or subscribe and push that bell icon if you want to get even more wonderful Splatoon goodness from the channel. And with that, I wish you all a good day and good luck. Bye!